So a ghost gun is a firearm that has no serial number on the receiver and basically is untraceable. It's one that you order as a kit and you can assemble at home with common tools in a very short period of time. Ghost guns are readily available on the internet. You buy them, it's called an 80% receiver. And the receiver is the portion of the gun that typically doesn't change. Think of it as the chassis of a car. And that's where the serial number goes, because you can change out the grip, you can change out the barrel, you can change out other components, but the receiver is going to be essentially the gun. And that's how firearms are identified in the US. So without the serial number on the receiver, it's not a gun, technically. Because they're real guns once assembled, ghost guns do produce the normal forensic markings we look for in a case, such as striations on the bullet or firing pin impressions on the casing. The trick is who owns them. So even though a ghost gun could be used in multiple crimes and linked through a database like NIBIN, you can't trace it back to an owner or to a manufacturer or really anywhere. They're just out there. So that makes it difficult in terms of forensic examinations to get a lead. Ghost guns are very different from 3D printed guns, although 3D printed guns also may not have a serial number. 3D printed guns are created through a process of overlaying plastic polymer into the shape of the parts needed, sort of like spraying plastic into the right shapes and assembling it as a model. 3D printed guns are not quite usable still. The pressures created by the discharge of the bullet are enormous. It's a tiny explosion, really. And the polymers used are good, they're strong, but they're not as sturdy, say, as metal or some of the polymers used in other firearms, like, say, a Glock. And even then, it's not in the slide or the discharge chamber, it's in the handle. So 3D printed guns are a problem, but they're an emerging problem. They're not the same level of actual problem that ghost guns are. The people who are selling ghost guns on the internet are selling essentially a kit. So they're not selling a firearm per se. So they don't need to be registered as firearms dealers. They don't need to be licensed. Neither do the buyers. The buyers don't need to register as owning firearms because they're not buying a gun, technically under US law. And so even if you're, say, a convicted felon who's not supposed to have contact with a firearm, you can buy one because it's not a gun. Some states and the federal government have tried to create legislation regarding ghost guns. Some have laws against them on the books, some have stiffer penalties, but it's been very contentious simply because of the Second Amendment and the interpretation of that, plus the fact that they're not sold as guns. Ghost guns are sold as 80% receiver kits. So we're still struggling with the legality of this, and that's going to continue to be contentious for some time to come.